Xander Zayas has become the WBA and WBO unified super welterweight champion after defeating Abass Baraou. The final decision was a split decision, 116, 112 across the board, but two in favor of Zayas, one in favor of Baraou. For me, Baraou never did enough to win that fight. Look, the commentators made it out as though it was a landslide, as though Baraou won barely any of the rounds. I mean, at around round 5 or round 6, they were saying, well, Baraou may have won one. I don't think the fight was that one-sided, but I also don't think Baraou did enough to gain a victory, especially not a 116, 112 victory. For Zayas, a 116, 112 victory is very fair. You might have been able to give him another 1 or 2 rounds, depending on how favorable you're being. But Abass Baraou, I mean, the guy is a small super welterweighter, but the guy is made of concrete because Xander Zayas hit him with some big shots tonight. Even in his last fight against Jonas Tellez, Abass Baraou showed his might against Jonas Tellez, and you just can't hurt the guy. And anybody that prepares to fight him, you better prepare to go 12 rounds. And that's what Xander Zayas did today. And you know what? Xander Zayas, in his last fight against Jorge Garcia Perez, lots of talk about his performance. I questioned it as well. I was like, he's got to improve on that. He looked to have gassed out about halfway through to late in the fight. Whereas today, I mean, you look at that last round, that round 12, and these two just went to war for the last 2 minutes of that fight. Xander Zayas was ahead by a landslide, in my opinion. A good 3 or 4 rounds ahead. But he was like, no, I want to knock this guy out. And that was very brave from Xander Zayas because you're ahead. This guy hits hard. You don't really have to risk anything, but he wanted to put on a show. He wanted to show the Puerto Ricans just how good he is, and he went to war with him for those last 2 minutes. And a hell of a fight. And Xander Zayas, he fought that fight much as he needed to fight it because he could have very easily gone in there and tried to trade with him for 12 rounds against a very, very tough opponent, against a hard hitter, especially in the early stages of the fight. Abass Baraou sort of weakens a little bit in the second half of the fight, doesn't tend to get a knockout in the second half of the fight, but Xander Zayas stuck to his game plan, lateral movement, move around the ring, and, people don't like that sometimes because, they call it running away, but Xander Zayas was by far leading the total punch count. So even though he was moving around the ring, even though he wasn't engaging the action as much as Abass Baraou, he was still getting off the more punches. He was landing the more punches, and that's why he won that fight. And for Xander Zayas, I mean, I think he showed all the growth that he needed to after that Jorge Garcia Perez one. Jorge Garcia Perez was his career best win up until now, but there was a lot of room for improvement. I think he came in today and showed he stuck to his game plan. Yeah, sometimes he did get caught out trying to trade with Abass Baraou, but most of the time he was getting the better of it anyway. There wasn't really any points in that fight. I think there might have been one time partway through where Abass Baraou landed a good shot on Xander Zayas, but apart from that, Xander Zayas was landing the bigger punches, he was landing the cleaner punches, he was doing the combination work, and it was Xander Zayas' show to run. Abass Baraou did well, stayed on the front foot, kept pushing Xander Zayas, made it hard for him, especially in the early stages, and didn't die till the end. So for Xander Zayas, I mean, he showed us today everything he needs to show us to say at 23 years of age, this guy can compete against the top super welterweighters. I think there's a reason Fundora didn't want that fight against Xander Zayas. I think Xander Zayas now with 2 belts under his name, he can start calling for whoever he wants. We just saw another champion crown today in Josh Kelly. Could there be a fight there, Xander Zayas versus Josh Kelly? I mean, Xander Zayas, it's one thing to verse him, but then to have to go to Puerto Rico, that makes it even harder. So it depends what Xander Zayas wants to do. Whether he wants to unify with another person. Super welterweight is stacked, all right? You look for the top 10 in each governing body, and there is names there, there is heaps of fighters there that are probably worthy of a world title, have been a world champion. You still got people like Israel Madrimov, you still got people like Tim Tszyu sitting in and around the ranks. You got Jerome Boutzenis, isn't a champion. You got Virgil Ortiz, who is a interim champion. And then you've got Fundora, you've got Josh Kelly, you've got these people with the belts that you're saying, which fight does Xander Zayas want? And I think he can give every single one of them a good matchup because at 23 years of age, I mean, this is his career best performance. Jorge Garcia Perez was a good performance. This one's even better than that. And all he's going to do is grow from this experience. 12 rounds against a hard fighter, like a hard man to beat in Abass Baraou is going to make Xander Zayas go even better. So I can't wait to see what is next for Xander Zayas. I am currently watching the Keyshawn Davis fight. Shushu Carrington had a great victory, but we're going to talk about Shushu, we're going to talk about Keyshawn, and we're going to talk about Teofimo Lopez after the Teofimo Lopez fight. So if you are new, please do subscribe. put those notification bells on and stay tuned for the next video. Like the video and leave all your thoughts in the comments below.